Good evening to each and everyone gathered here for today's webinar. In this episode of Equity Outlook, our Chief Investment Officer, Mr. Sunil Damania, would be providing us his opinion of the market going forward. After a quick recap of the market's performance in the previous months, he would be providing us a strategy we should adopt going forward in this market. Towards the end, we would also be having a short Q&A session. Over to you, Mr. Sunil.
Hey, thanks a lot, Jason, and very warm welcome all of you. Last month, when I was doing a webinar on the same topic, Equity Outlook, the mood was down and out. And as I speak to you, a lot of investors are in a very cheerful mood. And one of the reasons is that the market did extremely well in the month of July. If you would have read my blog, which I've been writing 2 times, and you will get the latest blog maybe next today or maybe tomorrow. In June, I said that market will revive and the mood would be very good by October. And when the market crashed substantially in the month of July, I said the risk-reward ratio has gone in favor of returns. And I've asked you, all of you, if you are sitting on fence, it's a time for you to put your money into the equity market. I hope you people did that. You heeded to my advice, what I was suggesting you. And if you have done that, I think you would have seen the returns being made. Having said that, let me start my webinar with a small disclaimer. That is, webinar is only for an education purpose. Whenever you invest in the equity market, it does carry a little higher amount of risk, and past performance should not be construed as an indicator for future returns. With this, the July month was an rally was all across, whether it's a large cap, whether it is a mid cap, whether it's a small cap. Each and every sectoral indices were also in the green. That clearly suggests that market did extremely well. And I must tell you upfront, you don't see this kind of performance very often. I must make it very, very clear, you don't see this kind of performance very, very often. Why? Because you don't see market in a month-on-month basis going up by 8 and 9%. That happens maybe once in a year kind of a scenario. So I must bring down your expectation level for the month of August. Of course, I'm going to put that in, I've put in my slide. Do not expect similar kind of returns in the month of August. Even though the market has started on a very positive note on the 1st August today, do not be under impression that back on July, we would see a very equally strong growth numbers even for the month of August. What has come as a very, very big surprise for all of others, but not for our investors. If you remember, I had predicted, and rightly so, that FII would turn optimistic on the Indian market and they will put money in the Indian equity market. Just for a recap, what I had said last month, same time. Jason, can you just play quickly the video, please, if you don't mind?
Yeah, let's rewind to the video.
FII is 9 months in a row. Significant decline. And the 50,000 crore selling by FIIs does makes me believe FII का selling जो होना था हो चुका है. FIIs का selling जो होना था वो हो चुका. अब FII will become net positive. And if you look at my FII presentation I made, you must have seen that in presentation I did talk about that more than 2.5 lakh crore, and normally they used to command more than 19% of the total India market cap, which has gone below 18%, which is little unusual. And hence, we are in the very last phase of FII selling. I am not saying from tomorrow onwards they will start buying. No, I'm not saying that. But they will very soon turn positive on month-on-month basis. And as you know that the FIs have come back very strongly. And on the first day of August also, today FIs have been significantly positive on the Indian equity market. So I'm making a prediction again that this July month FI investment is not an aberration. It is not a flash in the pan. It's going to continue. And I must also make a prediction that second half of 2022, we would see a significant FI coming back very strongly to invest in the equity market. What has happened in July also is that Fed second times in a row, hike rate of interest 75 bips, which has never happened in the history of Fed, 75 and 75 bips rate hike. So that's this one. But did it impact the market sentiment? The answer is no. The market surged by 1,000 points next day. See, that very peculiar thing which happened in the month of July. IMF lowered world's GDP growth, including India, by 80 bips. Did market react negatively? The answer is no. When the Fed hiked 75 bips, did market correct negatively? The answer is no. When the US GDP growth rate data 2 quarters in a row is negative, which technically called recession, which has not been called recession, but this one, did market reacted negatively? The answer is no. Which clearly suggests that, and I must give you you must always learn from the market movement. What does this indicate? The market has started absorbing negative news in a very effective manner. It doesn't get too much concerns by the negative news now. It's taking in its stride, and that's a very good sign which market is giving us, all of us. Use this as a sign to create wealth from the equity market. What has also happened, while the world is still struggling to come out with the hard inflation, India's inflation 2 months in a row have started coming down. April, what was there in the month of May was lower than what it was there in the month of April. And the data which came for the June was lower than what it was there in the month with 7.01%. The inflation. I do suspect because of crude coming down, various other commodity, whether it's an industrial metal or the agri commodities, the prices have started coming down globally. Supply side concerns are easing, and that should reflect. And some of the state like Maharashtra government also reduced the VAT on the petrol and diesel, should help to bring down inflation further. If you remember, I had predicted last time also that inflation will come down faster than what even RBI has been suggesting. An RBI governor in post my webinar, I'm not saying that he listened to my webinar and did that, but he concurred in one of his speech that inflation will come down much before December, which they had predicted in MPC. So now they do believe that inflation will not remain above 6 till December. It will start coming off much before that. So that's another good thing which is happening. We should all look at what are the things happening at the macro level. Another good thing which has happened is that the volume on the market has taken a huge beating. And now the volume has started increasing. If you look at it, the average volume for the month of July was 46.602 crore versus 44,068 crore. Not only that, the volume has been rebounding. If you look at some of the data which has come out in the last few days of July, we touched near about 60 to 63,000 crore volume on the market, which clearly suggests that the level of participant is increasing. That's another good sign. and the GST collection. So while the whole world is struggling to ensure that even China number today came out, that China Beach book that has come out, they suggest that it's a slowdown. Am I right? The India's GST collection has been very, very strong. 1.49 lakh crore, which has just got released today, versus 1.44 lakh crore last month. Now, the the secretary from the finance ministry has gone on the record saying that they do expect 1.5 lakh crore GST collection for rest of FY 2023. What does this then say? GST collection is the actual money coming in. It shows level of activity in the economy. If that has to happen, I think that clearly says that while the world may struggle to report growth, India would be the shining star in the gloom and doom scenario of the world. And if that is so, FI has no other choice but to come to the Indian equity market, because they also are supposed to generate alpha, and they will chase those countries which can help them to generate alpha. At the same time, if you remember, I had also said the rupee will go down to 80 or so. But after that level, there is no further downside to that. And if you remember, I predicted also that in 1 year down the line, rupee may appreciate against the dollar. Rupee, after touching 80 rupees, has shown some amount of strength, and that would also give some comfort level to FII that rupee, the downward pressure is over, and it's a time for them to start putting more money, because when the rupee depreciates against the dollar, their dollar returns do take a beating. But once the rupee supply, in fact, yesterday I was talking with one finance department from a very big corporate, okay? And I was asking him what is the cost of hedging, and he was saying, Sunil bhai, the cost of hedging has come down from 4.5% to 3.5% or so, which also clearly suggests that the people don't expect much of a depreciation in the rupee, because the higher the hedging cost, that means higher the probability of rupee depreciating against the dollar. And that's a very leading corporate. Okay, I don't want to name because it's unfair on my part to mention that gentleman's name. So that is what it clearly shows that. Since we are in a result season, it's always good to look at what has happened with the result season. Till now, almost 60% of in terms of market cap have already declared the numbers, and next 10-15 days the result season will get over by 15th of August. But data looks very, very promising. 32% jump in top line Y on Y, and net profit 26%. Now, when I listen to some of the other experts, they say the numbers are not so great, and I beg to differ with them with the due respect. Why am I saying so? We should always look at the numbers in the context, which market condition they were operating in. If you look at Government of India came out with that steel ban, export of that impacted the steel companies do account substantial portion of India. Rupee was depreciating significantly against this one. The crude was little volatile. The global economy is volatile. And under those circumstances, if these numbers are good, definitely our India Inc. does deserve accolades, because they did an extremely good job in terms of doing that. See, remember these numbers are despite they taken so much beating on the margin. And remember now when the crude oil prices and the other metal prices are started cooling off, what would happen? The manufacturer is not going to basically pass on 100%. And if that is so, the margin expansion will take this one. So I think the circumstances under which the India Inc. performed, I think they did a brilliant job. Of course, I do believe that these numbers, well, June 2021, there was a lower base. Why? Because we had second wave. There were some restrictions across the world, across the country, that would have impacted the net profit at that point of time, and hence based on lower base. But I think the data, what it clearly says that what was the environment they were operating in, and they did very well. And if based on that environment, when the input cost prices are easing, I think India Inc. should do extremely well. So while the other experts are little subdued about the India Inc. earnings growth, I personally believe they did a brilliant job. And a lot of credit should go to India Inc. that they did a brilliant job. And I do expect, and see, look at the top line growth on quarter, it's up by 0.57%. Normally, the March is the best quarter for India Inc. Always, because of year ending, where a lot of targets, there's a lot of pressure for someone to achieve that target for the full year, and that's always with the good. And yet it is on June quarter, it's 0.57% jump. So some of these numbers, net profit that you see is mainly driven by some of this commodity like steel. The private sector banks, quarter on quarter, they've seen dip in the net profit. Cement companies, steel companies, metal companies. I think this is basically accounts for this one. Of course, this month, once the result season get over, I'll come in front of you and we'll also show you the complete report card of India Inc., how they perform. But I believe they did very well. And that's another reason why market should do very well going forward. Now let's look at what happened to the Sensex movement in the month of July. And there's one trend which clearly stands out. The lowest level in the month of July was on the 1st July. The day I did the webinar last month, same time. And the highest is the highest of the month, 57,057. That clearly shows the undercurrent in the market has been so strong for the month of July that the first day low we have not seen in the rest of the month. And market closed with the highest point of the month, which gives a very strong signal that this rally is not going to come to an abrupt halt. Okay, so those who are still waiting on the fence and still wondering, अरे market तो बहुत चल गया है, नीचे आएगा, I think you are basically making a wrong assumption. Same way, and that's the beauty about the market, okay? And I keep saying, market gives you non-linear returns. So, from January till June, market was substantially down. And 3 months in a row, the market was down. And 1 month performance, which is July 8.8%, it wiped out all the losses of 2022. You'd be surprised to know that the year-to-date Sensex and Nifty are almost at the same level what it was there the end of 2021. And in fact, BSE 200, BSE 500 now in green. I again repeat, BSE 200 and BSE 500 as of today are in green. And that clearly shows how market has, this is the data, I'll just showcase you because I did put this. So if you look at it, the 9.1 was the decline in the Nifty. That is for the first 6 months, and it 8.7% jump. And ahead, if you look at Sensex, is almost the same level 2021. Mid cap is still down by 3% from the 2001 level, and small cap is still down by 7%. I'm very hopeful this will get covered very fast in next couple of months. So by October, I again repeat, for the benefit of those who have missed my last month same time webinar, I do believe the sentiments by October 2022, that is a Diwali time, would be much jubilant than what it is. Now coming back to the advanced decline ratio, because that clearly gives an idea about what happened in the month of July. And after 2 months in decline of less than 1, we again saw 1.2 for advanced decline ratio, which is a very healthy sign. Okay, and I do believe that's again prediction from my side. Even for the month of August, advanced decline ratio would be above 1. So if I'm wrong, you can remind me that your prediction was wrong for the month of August. Let's look at the market cap. And this kind of market cap has been very, this month, July, 23 lakh crore got additional added. That is almost 1.5 times of Reliance Industries got added in 1 month. And that clearly shows that undercurrent in the market has been very, very good. Of course, we are not still high from April 2022 level, but very close to that level of 2 lakh. But I think that clearly shows that sentiment in the market has changed much better. Each and every sector participate, but look at the beauty of this market. If you remember, I keep saying sector rotation is the name of the game, and that clearly reflects in the month of July. Some of the laggards has basically led the rally in the month of July. And some of you may not have seen as much as buoyancy in your portfolio. Why? Because you may have moved out of that. Nifty Metal did up by 15.4%. It was one of the struggling sector and it did very well. PSU Bank up by 13.2%. Finance did very well. Normally, finance was also with the laggard and they did very well. So that is what has happened. And due to that, if you look at some of the auto, which was doing very well, was only up by 5.9%, underperforming the Sensex and the Nifty. So, but the worst performing has been CPSE, which was still up by 2.1%. So in other words, each and every sectoral indices also were in green. Will that happen in the month of August? The answer is no. There will be some sectors which would be in red for the month of August. But as I told you, this kind of performance doesn't get repeated very often, maybe once in a year kind of a stuff. That happen where you see across the board really Sensex and Nifty surging almost by 8.6, 8.8% doesn't happen very often. So that's what has actually happened. And Nifty 50, only 5 companies were in decline. All these companies were in green. Okay, and look at Bajaj Finance, Bajaj Finserv, IndusInd, Asian Paints, Tata Steel, Titan, SBI, Hindalco, the Grasim, the company that took some amount of beating, they were leading from the forefront. So you don't see any of this IT even yet. Who knows? You might see next month even IT companies forming a part of best performing in 2000. Institutional activity, we all know, you saw my video, 4,989 crore positive in the month of July. And this will continue positive trend in the rest of 2022. So after 9 months in a decline, we are seeing a positive flow from, it's not, again I repeat, it's not an aberration, it's not a flash in the pan, it will sustain going forward. But what has happened and what has surprised me is another interesting thing. DII have reduced the net investment. Normally they've been doing almost 45,000 crore from the month of May, June. They just put in 10,000 crore, which has been lowest since October 2021. Lowest since, because in lowest they were only 4471. So they've slowed down a little bit in terms of investment. I don't know why they did that, but the fact of the matter is that they did slow down in terms of investment. Monsoon, so overall the monsoon has been 8% above the normal, but it is not very distributed well. If you look at this portion of India, I think it's still struggling. So what is this? The yellow and the red that you see basically shows deficit of that. And this belt of this portion is still a deficit. But if you look at this portion, the monsoon has been very, very good. Okay. Now, due to this, there is some concern because of this belt produced a lot of paddy, that is rice. And due to that, there is a fear, it's too early to come to conclusion, that there could be some drop in the rice production. If you remember last year also, monsoon revived very significantly in the month of September. In fact, till August, we were deficit. And in the month of September, we were above average. And monsoon got extended by 15th October or so. Something similar can also happen. So it's too early to come to any meaningful conclusion. But yes, most part of the country has received either normal or excess rain. What could be the impact? It's too early to come to conclusion. But somehow the rain has been good till now. There is no reason to worry as such. So what to expect going forward? Coming Friday, RBI is going to renounce the new monetary policy. MPC is going to meet. And we should expect 25 to 35 bips rate hike, which according to me, it's my personal opinion, it's not Marcus Mojo opinion, this could be the last rate hike by RBI. I do not expect RBI to do further rate hike unless there is too much problem with the inflation data, which I don't believe. So inflation data will come post RBI monetary policy. So RBI will not have the data, benefit of the data. But I do predict that inflation in India will go below 7% the next week when the data, inflation data will get released. I think it's 12th August or something that the inflation data will get released. And I do expect it will be below 7%. Market would look at two numbers very, very closely. One is the India Inc. numbers and the monsoon progress. Why? Because monsoon does help boost in the rural economy. And monsoon would also help to understand what could be the trajectory of inflation. There are 5 countries in the world that accounts for 60% of the food grade production. Which are those 5 countries? China, US, India, Brazil, and Argentina. These 5 countries accounts for a bulk of the world production, food grain production. For some reason, if India's monsoon is little low, it could put pressure not only on food inflation in India, but other parts of the world also. And hence, the market would look at very, very closely. As far as rupee is concerned, we do believe, and strongly, that's my personal opinion, we strongly believe that rupee has hit the bottom. We don't expect rupee to go further down from rupees 80 level. And hence, I think it's not going to now impact the market sentiment because rupee, the deterioration of the rupee was impacting market sentiments. So I think henceforth, that worry market is not going to discuss about. And hence, rupee has this one. We do believe that FI will remain net positive for the month of August, but the kind of gain that we saw in the month of July is not going to get repeated in the month of August. I distinctly recollect Mr. Satish Reddy, one of our member, he came out with some study which says that normally the August month is bad for the market. But when I look at the data, what surprised me that his data somewhere is wrong. Why? Because last year, August month, Indian market was up by 9.44%. I doubt this will get repeated this month, this year also. But don't expect too much gain from the equity market for the month of August. But nobody invests in the equity market for 1 month, am I right? We normally invest for 3 to 5 years. And hence, whatever has to happen to the equity market, we do believe that market has formed the bottom and hence do not expect any substantial downside from this level. You may not have taken my prediction last time little seriously. It's a high time that you should take my numbers, my prediction little seriously. Why? Because it will benefit you in terms of your wealth creation. Okay. I do believe, I mentioned last time, I again repeat, risk-reward ratio has gone in the favor of reward despite market moving up by almost 9% in month of July. Any correction is not going to remain at the low level for significant time. What is important, time and again, is a time in the market, not timing the market. So please put money and please remove your human emotions aside. मुझे ऐसा लगता है, मुझे वैसा लगता है, it's all meaningless. I believe, ये सेक्टर चलेगा, मुझे लगता है मार्केट में और मंदी आएगी, मुझे लगता है रूपी will all depreciate. Please leave your human emotions aside. Please follow Markets Mojo advice in a very disciplined manner. The wealth has been only created by only two people, those who have two virtues in their life. The first one, the person who acts in a very disciplined manner. And number two, the person who has a patience. If you are in a hurry to create wealth, I must tell you upfront, don't come to equity market. You will get rejected very badly. So if you have patience and if you can follow discipline, then only you should come to the equity market and create wealth. And once you have this too, the Market Mojo is there to guide you how to create wealth. With this, if you are not a member of Markets Mojo, it's a golden opportunity for you, all of you, to become Markets Mojo subscriber only at 19,999 for 2 years, which works out to 10,000 rupees per annum, near about 30 rupees per day. That's a small price that you need to pay to create wealth-creating journey from the equity market. I'll request my colleague Jason to please drop the link and let's open the floor for question and answer. Over to you, Jason.
Okay, let's start off this first question by Mr. Suraj. Will Nifty still have a chance of touching 15,000 level?
No, sir. Suraj, I don't think I expect Nifty now to go back to 15,000 level. I don't think so. So, again, my personal estimate, I think that now the bottom could be 16 to 16,500 at the max. That is the worst case scenario. I don't expect Nifty to go below to even bridge the 16,000 level. Forget about 15,000 level.
Okay, this next question by Mr. Satish. How do we need to look at macros? The US data shows it's at the verge of recession. If US gets into recession, hypothetically, will it be good for the equity markets? The probability of getting into recession seems to be high, as Amazon has asked 100,000 employees to leave.
So, I don't know how many people know that technically, if the US is in the recession, the technical definition is that 2 quarters in a row, the GDP has to contract. And if that happens, technically it's a recession. But not many of you would be aware that there are 8 economists in the US who declare that when is the recession in the US or not. Okay. Now there is a various debate, and in fact Bloomberg this week they wrote a very beautiful article. Now there are, sorry, I may be wrong, whether it's a Bloomberg, whether it's a Barron, or whether it's a what we call economist. In fact, I read all 3 during weekend, so I don't know which magazine said what. But there's a very interesting article that says that it doesn't look like a recession in the US. Why? Because people, what we call money with them is much higher than what it was in the previous recessions. Unemployment data doesn't seem to be suggest that there is a inflation. So they continue to believe that there is a recession. But I assume there is a recession. Satish, what you are saying is right. Will this impact Indian market? Will this impact Indian market sentiments? My answer is no. I don't see that. In fact, I do believe that if you remember, when Goldman Sachs or Nomura came out with the China growing at 4% and above, I did not concur with their views, and I said that China will grow less than 4%. And in fact, that's what the IMF, when they came out last week, the GDP growth, they did mention that it's not going to grow at 4%. I think they said 3.3% if my memory serves me right. But the way the Chinese economy has grown in first quarter and second quarter, even that number looks now optimistic. And even for the month of July, which the data just came out, does gives an indication that Chinese economy will do that. So yes, I do understand there's a gloom and doom scenario around the world, but that's where the India would be the shining star. And that's where, and in fact, I was looking at some data analysis. I'll just share some data with you. I don't know how that makes a sense. So, Ministry of Finance, yesterday or day before yesterday, they said that 4 crore people have filed their income tax returns. 4 crore. That number would have further gone up because 31st July was the last day. You know how many unique mutual fund investors are there in the country? Unique. So someone must have one day, you must have invested in one mutual fund scheme also, another mutual fund scheme also, and that accounts as a folio. But there are only 3.5 crore mutual fund investors in this country. कितना? 3.5 crore. 4 crore लोगों ने तो income tax return file किया हुआ है. And that number would further go up. What does this mean? Actually, if you ask me, at least we should have 4 crore mutual fund investors, unique investors in this country, which is still 20% more. 3.5 crore का 20% करोगे तो near about 4 crore, 4.20 जाएगा. That means investors are yet to enter the mutual fund industry. And then the equity markets. The scope for the Indian market has been huge actually. So I don't think the US economy will have any material impact in terms of wealth creation that Indian equity market is offering at this point of time. On the contrary, if the US and the China is going to slow down, I think India would be the beneficiary in terms of FI flows coming in. Why? Because as a fund manager, you would search for a territory that can create alpha, and if that is so, they will come and put more money into Indian equity market. That will propel indices further high. And retail investors are matured. They keep putting money with each and every through SIP route in a very disciplined manner, and they will keep creating wealth for the investors. So I don't think it's going to have any material impact on the Indian market sentiments.
Okay, this question by Mr. Joseph. Sunil ji, what would be the sectors outperforming during August 2022 in your view?
सर आप लोग तो है ना सच्ची में कभी कभी लगता है कि आप लोग सर आई डोंट हैव एनी आइडिया आई डू बिलीव दैट in fact Saturday webinar I did mention that I do believe that capital goods sector, and this is purely based on the commentary that I've been listening post result, seems to be doing very well. Some of the paper companies and in fact today also some of the companies that we do hold in our Mojo Infinity portfolio, they've done extremely well. So on Saturday also I said that paper companies are looking promising. So I wouldn't be surprised, but of course there are no indices as such. But I do believe that paper should do well, capital goods should do well. This is my personal opinion. This is more of a gut feeling than any this one scientific reason that I have.
Okay, this next question by Mr. Vineet. On one hand, Marcus Muja says it's time to start add funds in portfolio. But on the other hand, Marcus Muja has been conservative in view of adding new Mojo stocks. Why this approach?
So, sir, don't get confused with the Mojo stocks and the master list. So, we do have a master list. And the master list consists of stocks. So, we are not saying you stay away from the market. Then I can understand that your argument is right. We are asking you to put money in the market. Am I right? So, we are not saying that. Mojo stock is also a function of during result season. Suppose if any company is going to declare results in next 15 days, that company, even if it has to become a Mojo stock, cannot become a Mojo stock. Second thing, our investment committee has to approve. And some of the companies that are coming in, our investment committee is not comfortable. So while that overall market may go up, if those companies may not participate, we would not be comfortable putting that company as a part of our Mojo stock list. So don't get confused with the number of Mojo stocks not coming in. In fact, today, before coming for this webinar, 2 stocks got added to our Mojo Infinity portfolio today. So remember, the Mojo stock has a different criteria to become Mojo stock, like Mojo Infinity has a different criteria to become. So while we do see new stocks coming in Mojo Infinity, somehow Mojo stocks is not becoming. It's also a function of liquidity. It's also a function of result season. It's also a function of whether this company satisfies that Mojo stock list criteria or not. Just to give an example, to become a Mojo stock, the quality of the company has to be minimum quality, has to be good or excellent, which is not the case with Mojo Infinity portfolio. And hence, so while our master list is getting expanded in Mojo Infinity, you are right, Mojo stock it's not. Having said that, does not mean that it will not happen in the future. Vinith, as and when that happens, you will come to know which are the Mojo stock that get added if you are a paid members.
Okay, this question by Mr. KV Ramesh, and I can see few of the investors writing this. What's your current opinion on Lux Industries?
So I have a very simple, this is my personal view, and this is not Markets Mojo view, that'll be this one. See, when there is what I've always observed, okay, when any company come under corporate governance issue, whether that holds true or not, even if there is this one, that company is never given returns to the investors. Wakrangi. Nothing has been proved that Wakrangi did something wrong actually. But that company, one started underperforming. Okay. Sun Pharma had a very similar problem and it underperformed for a very significant period of time. Okay. 1% beverage and so. Lux Industries is a very serious corporate governance issue that we discuss about it. Well, it's been not proven. In fact, SEBI put it in the matter. I think still subjudice, as if my memory serves me right. So it's going on. But will it create a wealth now? The answer looks no. YTD, that is in 2022, while the overall market is almost the same level, the scrip is down by 50%, 50. So my suggestion would be, if you still continue to hold this company in the hope that this company will outperform, I'm afraid it's not going to happen. So please stay away.
Okay, this question by Mr. Shyam Sundar. What is likely to drive markets now? Mohit's take was it's going to be a W-shaped recovery. If so, what are views on when the fall of mid of W is likely to happen, or it will be triggered by some economic event? What's your opinion?
So I think Mohit also mentioned that day that while Sunil believes V, he believes W. So I do believe that it would be a more of a V recovery. Of course, when I say V, doesn't mean that it will not going to come down. It can come down, but it's not going to hit that lower bottom, that 15,000 level that we saw. So that's what my understanding is. Someone asked me just a couple of minutes back that what is the level 15,000? Can we see 15,000 level back? And I said maybe it's not going to breach even 16,000 level. So I believe that market should remain more positive from this level onward.
Okay, this question by Mr. Manish. Hello, sir. I have one question. If you can consider, please let me know your views on energy shipping sector.
What is energy shipping sector, sir? I don't know. Either it's energy or shipping. Dono alag-alag hoga sakta hai, unless I'm missing something. This one, shipping sector, sir, I don't follow, so I don't have much of an idea. There are hardly few companies, and unfortunately, those companies have not created any wealth, so it's not on my radar. Energy as a sector, again, I'm not very sure that can create a wealth. So maybe I would suggest just go through with our Mojo stock or our model portfolio, Mojo Infinity portfolio. And if happens to be any company coming from that sector, please go and buy. Otherwise, as a sector, I don't think they are going to create a lot of wealth.
Okay, I'll pick this one question by Shyam. Dear Sunilji, my tax slab is 30%. So in my case, investing in dividend stocks doesn't make sense. It would be appropriate for me investing in growth stocks. In model portfolio, the stocks are mostly dividend related like Coal India. So is there any way where I can have a portfolio of only growth stocks which reinvest the earnings instead of paying dividends? As in my case, the total return would be coming down because of tax on dividend.
Shyamji, I must tell you very upfront, Markets Mojo will never recommend a stock to buy because it's a higher dividend yield stock. We will recommend the stock to buy because we believe that company is going to create capital appreciation. So if that company happens to be a higher dividend paying company, is sone pe suhaga hai. So you should not try to buy. So we are not recommended Coal India, even though we are 30% from dividend point of view. We recommended buy Coal India because we believe this company will create wealth for the investors. A capital appreciation where your short-term capital gain would be 15% and long-term would be 10%. This company in last 1 month is up by 16%. 3 months is up by 16 and 6 months 30%, YTD 45%. What does this mean? That this company has done extremely well. So it's a capital appreciation story, not the what we call dividend yield story. And now, sir, sometimes, if you have one or two company paying higher dividend, we come to conclusion, ye company ne to, that everything is higher dividend yield stock. ऐसा जरूरी नहीं है ना सर. How many companies in your portfolio, in model portfolio, that's a higher dividend yield as high as what Coal India is giving? You will realize not many. Am I right? So let's not come to a conclusion based on one or two company. I think we recommended 11th March Coal India, and since then the company has done extremely well. My request to all of you would be, one stock doesn't define total dividend yield of the portfolio.
Okay, this one particular question we're getting a lot of investors. They say that ITC have just declared results. It looks good except for expenses. Should we add more of the stock?
So even I briefly said I had a very bad day today in terms of meeting. Since morning I have been in meeting. We took a lunch break always only at 2 or 2:15, 2:15. Again meeting, then someone, Mojo Infinity review, someone came down to office, again meeting, and then I had to make PPT and so on and so on. And in the interim, I had to head investment committee, so I did that. And I just saw ITC numbers. The numbers looks extremely promising. Even the FMCG business did well, hotel business did very well. So I think the number looks reasonably well, and I think the numbers came only 1.5 hour back only. So when I look at that time, when I look at the score, it was not updated on our site also. I'll be very frank with you. But let me just say, as I speak to you, whether financial safety score has been changed or not. Yes, it has been changed. It has increased from 13 to 23 now. So, in other words, the ITC has come out with a very good set of numbers. What would be the reactions tomorrow? The reaction has to be positive. If you remember, ITC is also a stock of the month, and we do believe that ITC will create. If at all we will change our view on ITC, we'll come back and we'll inform you what needs to be done. Same way, I must also tell you, Maruti has also, auto numbers have come out, which is also stock of the month, and the numbers are extremely good. Only one concern which I would have right now, I'll be very upfront with you, is their utility vehicle sales have come down, and I think that's a little cause of concern. But otherwise, even Maruti numbers for the month of July has been extremely good.
Okay, we've got this question by Mr. DP Mohanty. He says Nifty moved from 15,200 to 17,300, which is around 12%, but the Infinity Soul reduced from 20.5 to 15.8%, which I think is close to 4.2%. This is not at all acceptable. What's your feedback on this?
Mohanty sahab, I need to look at it, which stock you are holding and what has happened, because we've seen some of the portfolio have seen very substantial gain in their returns. Now, I don't know what was your portfolio value when the Nifty was 15,200. Was it 20% or was it higher than 20%, 26, 27%? We don't know. So it's very difficult for me to respond without looking at the data. But there are many investors, and I keep looking at the portfolio returns in a very significant manner, and there is a substantial improvement in that. What you should do, sir, on Friday, first Friday of every month, I do a report card, and I will showcase to you. This month, I'm going to do how many portfolios were in losses, how many portfolios are outperforming, last month same time, and this month same time. And you will see the difference in terms of the numbers that is happening. So at there you will see the level of outperformance that is happening. But having said that, if you're not, what you are saying is right, if I assume at the face value, then it's more of an exception than the rule, that I would like to say.
Okay, this question by Mr. Tushar. Goldman Sachs and mutual funds bought Pradeep Phosphate. Is it a good company for investment? What's your opinion?
So we don't comment on who bought what and whether it's a good company or not. I would suggest please go through our what we call score and decide whether you should invest in that company. I personally don't take this company, Paradeep Force. It's a small cap company. Our score on the site is 52, which is closer to sell. Actually, it's a hold, but it's closer to sell. The company has done very well in last 1 month or so. I'm not very sure how much upside is still possible from this, but I don't have any personal opinion on this company.
Okay, this question by Salim. What are your views on UPL and the agrochem sector going forward?
So UPL came out with a very good set of numbers, am I right, today? Company has done extremely well. And I think the agrochemical sector, what has happened is this, that it's a function of monsoon. And monsoon does create a what you call demand for agrochemical sector. The monsoon till now has been good, 8% above the normal. So that should benefit. UPL also has a lot of revenues coming outside India, and that would also get decided. As per our score, the score is 55. It's a hold. It's not a buy. So for some reason, if you're holding this company in your personal portfolio, my advice is to hold. But fresh buy is not recommended from this level.
Okay, this question by Mr. Prashant. Current year, there's less rainfall in North India. Would there be an impact on the market?
It could, that's what I said. If you look at it, the Gangetic belt that has a very scarce and deficient monsoon, which could create a pressure on the paddy production, that is a rice production, which could impact this one. It's too early, as I told you. Normally, with this global warming, the monsoon fall has also been uneven. So in the month of June, Bombay was having scanty rain, and there was a water cut also in city like Bombay. And in July, we received so much rain that the water cut has been removed also. And some of the dam which supplies water to the Bombay is overflowing. Something similar can also happen to the northern belt. It's too early. The season has not come to an end. So I believe that we will receive a good monsoon there. And if that is so, I don't think market is going to too much concern. For some reason, if the situation continues, it could put some pressure on the consumption basket of the rural economy, especially consumer durable and FMCG companies, which in turn could impact the top line and bottom line. And also, it could also means that food inflation can go up. So there are two headwinds that we need to be mindful in case northern India does not receive too much monsoon. So more of a northern eastern India than anything else. Northern western has received a very good set of monsoon, very good monsoons.
Okay, moving on to this next question, Mr. Ramasamy. What's your opinion about Reliance? Why is it not a mojo stock?
It can become a mojo stock if the score of the company is above 70. I think the score of the company is, let me see, what is the score of the company? Yes, it can become a mojo stock. It's a large cap company. So to become a mojo stock, as I told you, it has to be in the top 20 in that particular market cap to become a large mojo stock. So it's not that. So that's why it's not becoming a mojo stock.
Okay, got this question, Shaila. Your view on Apar Industries, the stock went up 10% today. Do you think it's okay to buy now?
Shaila ji, I believe, so we do own this company in our Mojo Infinity. Someone asked me Saturday also, and I did mention that we do own this company in our Mojo Infinity. We continue to hold Apar Industries.
Okay, also a few of the investors are asking your current view on sugar-related stocks. Do you have any opinion on that?
So sugar, I believe that Government of India also released export quota for this one, which should augur well for this. Government of India is committed to the ethanol story, and that's also a positive for sugar companies. Some of the companies from the UP belt seems to be facing some problem because of SAP, that is State Advisory Price for the sugar cane has gone up, but no commensurate increase in the sugar. They may see some kind of a margin pressure. So you need to be a little stock specific. Some companies will do well, some companies will not do well, especially those who are from the northern belt, I think may little struggle to outperform. So that's the thing. So I believe overall we are neutral on sugar, but within that some companies may do very well in sugar sector.
Okay, this question, Mr. Vikram. Sir, your view on Time Techno. The stock has been a low performer so far despite being a mojo stock. Should we add up more in such stocks?
No, so we normally suggest that don't try to catch a falling knife. For some reason, if the company has not done well, I would suggest that you should not try to go and chase that company, because you may end up, and see, you all know our scores are dynamic. Sometimes, the score can undergo change. So don't do that. If you already hold this company, please continue to hold. If you put add investment option in a model portfolio, Mojo Infinity, and if it suggests buy, then only you should buy. Otherwise, don't try to buy that company additional.
Okay, Mr. Sunil, that's it with the Q&A session for today.
So, once again, I must reiterate that the market mood has changed for the better. Please, if you're still sitting on the fence, start investing now. Mood of the market would be extremely buoyant by Diwali 2022. And hence, for everyone, now you should be greedy that fearful to invest in the market. And hence, I would suggest you please go create wealth. It's giving you good opportunity. No one here to invest for 1 month, 3 months. If that is so, please go ahead and invest. With this, thanks a lot everyone taking time out and attending this webinar. Thanks a lot, Jason, for hosting this webinar. Over to you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Mr. Sunil, and thanks a lot everyone for attending the event. We have a demo event tomorrow by research analyst C.S. Sawant. If any of you all are new to the product or would like to understand the product in more depth, do come tomorrow at around 7 p.m. Also, we will be shortly sending out the blog, as Mr. Sunil said, for the month. So, looking forward to seeing you all come for the events in the future as well. Goodbye and have a great evening. Thank you so much.